Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237, coming at you with another review. So I figured since I've done an original, a remake, and an episode of Reslash, I figured why not do something random, something a little bit more on the fun side. I apologize in advance, I know I'm stuffy, I don't know, I've been fine all fucking day. And I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but I really liked it as a kid. That is An American Werewolf in London. Really solid film. One of my favorite werewolf movies. It's directed by John Landis, who's a director I really like. I know I don't talk about comedies very much, but I mean, he directed Animal House, Kentucky Fried Movie, which I like even more, Blues Brothers, which is my favorite film he's done. Very special movie for me. I grew up with that. And this movie, hands down, has the best on-screen werewolf transformation ever. I mean, the one in The Howling is pretty good. Silver Bullet, the transformation is cool, but then the reverse is just dissolves. And it's a very simple story, which Landis also wrote, because he's a big fan of werewolf films. And he wanted to make a more modern one. And it's kind of just got lost in what I was thinking. Anyway, David Naughton plays David Kessler, which I know Naughton is also a singer. I don't know if his album came before or after this. I think it's one of those albums people joke about being like the worst ever. But anyway, him and his buddy Jack, played by Griffin Dunne, they're backpacking through England. They're out in the country. They stop off at this tavern called Slaughtered Lamb. And there's a pentagram on the wall, so they ask what that means, and then they're pretty much told to leave. Stay off the moors. They decide to cut through the moors. It's attacked by a werewolf. Jack is killed. The guys at the tavern shoot the werewolf. And David wakes up in the hospital with no real memory. His nurse is played by Jenny Agutter, who played Andy's foster mother in Child's Play 2. And she's quite pretty in this movie. I didn't realize it in Child's Play 2. Then I was watching this and I was like, she looks familiar. Yeah, she's pretty in this. Yeah, their romance, their love story feels kind of Hollywood forced. I don't know if that's the joke or whatever. But throughout pretty much the whole first act, he's in the hospital and he has these very lucid dreams. Starting off with him running through the forest, you get this great like Sam Raimi camera work. Another one of him, he's in his hospital bed, but he's out in the woods and like a weird zombie face. Another dream where he's at his house, his parents' house with his sister, these like demon, werewolf, zombie monsters. It's like they're like Nazis, but they kind of look like Gunther from the Funhouse, which Rick Baker also did. Rick Baker did the effects for this. Actually won the Oscar for Best Makeup, which I commend that. But the following year, John Carpenter's The Thing did not get nominated. Gandhi did, though. Can't remember which movie won. Again, I'm sorry that I sound like this. But anyway, also while he's in the hospital, he gets visited by Jack. Now, Jack, he shows up 3 times in the film. And his deal is he was killed by a werewolf, unnatural death, so now he's wandering in limbo. He looks normal except for the damage done by the wolf. Great bloody effects. And he tells David that in order for his soul to be at peace, the werewolf's bloodline has to end. David has to commit suicide. Of course, he doesn't believe him. the nurse takes him home, stay with him. They start a romance. You get this cool scene. I've always loved it because I know this song is overplayed in movies. I've always loved the song. Thought it fit. It's him just being bored, trying to find shit to do around the house, to Bad Moon Rising by a CCR. And then finally, full moon hits, and he changes. I mean, it looks amazing. The sound effects, like, you get this, like, creaky, like, kind of like when you take, like, a dented soda can and blow in it. It's that kind of sound. And I mean, like, his spine, like, comes out, shoulder blades, his feet stretch. There's that famous shot of, like, it's obviously someone else's hand. Like, his hand is growing. And that soda can sound, because those are, like, his bones, like, stretching, and he's in agonizing pain, which is what I've always suspected. I always took it as a werewolf. A guy turning into a werewolf is hellishly painful, which is why in Twilight, when they just turn into one for whatever reason, is fucking stupid. Especially that scene, like, where he gets his snout. I love it. It's long. It's like a 5-minute scene of just a guy screaming and turning into a werewolf. It's just the greatest werewolf effects. He goes out, kills people. You don't see a lot of it, though. They don't really show the final form werewolf, which I'm okay with. You see glimpses of him, especially towards the end. It's one of those cases where, you know, the makeup during the transformation is so perfect. You know, why not show the final form? You know, let the audience come up with it. He wakes up naked in the zoo. He has to make his way back. And by this point, the doctor had gone to the tavern. He's done some research, and he starts to think werewolves could be real, so he's worried about David. And, before he turned, we see Jack again to warn him. This time, he's even more bad. Like, his skin's all green. He's starting to rot. He's giving him the same warning. And then after, you know, he finds out people have been killed, so he just runs off. He goes into this porno theater. And this whole scene's funny because you're hearing the porn and the noises in the background. Jack is now just a rotting skeleton. He has normal eye, kind of like an Evil Dead 2 cover. He's still wearing his clothes. But his voice is perfect. He still sounds like his normal self, which I thought was funny. And just as like an incentive, all the people he killed the night before are there. They're all bloody. Be like, see, this is what you're doing to people. It is going to continue. And you get this funny scene that's almost like a Monty Python sketch. Where he's like, well, how should I do it? How should I kill myself? And they're all like gleefully giving suggestions. Like there's this one engaged couple. She's just like, sleeping pills. They're like, oh, you can put a gun to your forehead and pull the trigger. And, you know, other people are just commenting on it. And he's just like, thanks, guys, really. Then he changes in the porno theater. Which, that's the thing, like, this movie's known for its sense of humor. It's not quite to the extent of, say, Return of the Living Dead, Evil Dead 2 especially, or like Reanimator. It's not quite that humorous, but, you know, it's this really dry John Landis kind of humor. Like something you see in, like, Blues Brothers. But it is funny. I do find it to be a funny movie. And then, you know, it's funny, he changes the porno theater because he's, like, writhing in his seat. He's moaning, and people just kind of aren't paying attention to him. Then he changes and gets out of the theater, crowd of people, and of course, John Landis, he just done Blues Brothers, so there's car crashes and pile-ups. The nurse finds him in the alley, and she's like, "They're gonna kill you, David." Cops come up and shoot him. So he's laying there dead, naked. And then all of a sudden, the end credits come up with that. So he's like, bob and bob, bob and bang, 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 bang. See, I went through that story no problem because it is a simple story. It's just a guy turns into a werewolf, and this is what happens. There is a lot of humor in it, which I don't mind. I know a lot of people kind of don't like comedy mixed with their horror. But it's not like Tucker vs. Evil or Zombieland. It's not like a flat-out comedy. You know, even the scene with the guy in the subway I thought was well done. Dude's running through the halls, and there's like that Sam Raimi Evil Dead kind of like following him. But when it shows him running, you can't see the werewolf, like he's too far away. But then he's on the escalator and he tripped. He's laying on the escalator. So the shot is from the top of the escalator. The guy's on it. And just slowly you just see the werewolf kind of crawl out from like a corner of the room. I thought that was done creepily and effectively. You know, this is just one of those movies where it's, you know, you're in for a horror movie or a couple laughs. This fits. It, you know, it is a classic. A lot of people love this movie, which I'm kind of wondering why Leonard Maltin has the quote on the front and the back. But yeah, I first saw this when I was a kid. I really liked it. I thought it was interesting. I had never really seen a movie with that kind of... This was probably the first real horror comedy I ever saw. I don't like it as much as, say, Evil Dead 2, Reanimator, and Return of the Living Dead. Like, this one's not quite over the top, like I said. But it is very enjoyable. It is a slow burn. Like, it takes a while for werewolf stuff, other than the opening, for David to turn into one. But that transformation scene is so worth it. Like, that slow burn buildup is so worth that transformation scene. Again, especially like 80s, I think was when practical effects really showed the world what you can do. I mean, this came out a year before John Carpenter's The Thing. 4 years before David Cronenberg's The Fly. But I would put it up there with The Thing, The Fly, and The Blob. As, even though you really only get one massive sequence of practical effects, just goes to show what you can do when you have the right artist. I mean, Rick Baker, he's up there with Stan Winston, Rob Bottin. Can never remember the guy's name, but the one that did The Fly. I love the effects. Again, the final four werewolf kind of looks like a Tasmanian devil. But that's why they don't show it that much. It's mostly, like, even this looks perfectly fine. I would say the transformation scene is the highlight. You know, that's everybody's favorite part. That's my favorite part. But the movie as a whole is entertaining. It's funny. It goes at a good pace. And if you're a fan of werewolf movies, like, this is one of the last of the truly good, like, I think The Howling came out the same year, but that's the only good Howling movie. You know, it was a callback to, like, the Lon Chaney movies. The Wolfman's even referenced pretty extensively in this, even by actor. Like, since I love Universal monster movies, I love the part where David's trying to explain it to the nurse. He's like, Wolfman, a Bela Lugosi bites Lon Chaney. He becomes a werewolf, and his father, Claude Rains, has to kill him. Yeah. Landis was a fan, and it shows. Great callback. In fact, the title, I think, is even a play on the title, Werewolf in London. It's dry, subtle fun, but it's still a fun movie. Great werewolf flick. Highly recommend it. Yeah. So anyway, that is American Werewolf in London. I gotta go blow my nose. So thank you for watching.